Thank you, Commissioner Coleman, for calling the meeting to order. And so we'll proceed with roll call.
Chairperson Forte,
Present.
Commissioner Coleman,
Present.
Commissioner Einhauser,
Present.
Commissioner Kenlock is excused but planned to join us. Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. The first item of business is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
So move. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is approved. The next item of business is the approval of the meeting minutes of January 31st, 2022, special meeting number 1. Is there a motion to approve?
So move, Madam Chair, as presented. Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any opposed? The meeting minutes of January 31 have been approved. We'll move into public participation. Is there any public participation? Seeing none, looking to Ms. Jones.
Madam Chair, I do not see any hands raised. Oh, my apologies.
hands.
One hand raised, Norel Hippel.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Hipple. Or is that Ms. Hipple?
Miss Hemphill.
No, I'm sorry. Thank you. Please proceed. Ms. Hemphill, we can hear you, so you can please proceed. Yeah.
Hear me now?
Yes.
I know we're here today for the rate hearing, but I did have some questions about a letter that some residents have received in the mail. And I wanted to know if there was time for that to be addressed. There seems to be a letter that is offering residents to enroll in a program that gives protection for the water and sewer lines by American Water Resources. And the language of this letter makes it seem as if it is offering more than it does. It is my understanding that there's an allocation of nearly $5 million to have the lines replaced, the water and the sewer lines replaced. However, this letter reads as if the residents are responsible for replacing those lines. And it sounds a little bit scary if you read it. It says that homeowners may be unprepared for potentially high cost of repairs if a problem arises. But according to the allocation of funds, if a problem arises, it would maybe be after those lines are replaced. As I understand it, the water and sewer lines are to be replaced. And if there's a problem now, it wouldn't be covered under this program because this program does not cover any pre-existing conditions, and residents will have to wait 30 days from the time the application is processed by American Water Resources for their coverage to go into effect. So it's not even when it is received, it's when American Water Resources processes their application. 30 days after that, our Detroit residents would have services. And under the facts, it says that the frequently asked questions, it says that while DWSD has no direct benefit from this program, that the money that is accumulated will, American Water Resources will make a contribution to the Water Residential Assistance Program, WRAP, which will help low-income residents with any repairs for plumbing. And it also says under the frequently asked questions that residents are not to contact their own plumbers, that they're to only go through American Water Resources for plumbing needs. This letter sounds a bit inflammatory, it sounds like it's targeting Detroit residents to pay for something that they're already going to get replaced under that $5 million allocation. And honestly, it sounds like it's a bit fear mongering, because if I was an older resident or a resident of low income, I would be afraid that I would have, these potentially high costs for problems that may not even be covered. So if there's an existing issue with pipes in the front or on the sewer lines, none of that would be covered. And if a problem was to arise between the time your application is processed and 30 days after, residents would not be covered also. And I am aware that this has gone out. This is the second letter that Detroit residents have received. So it's going out a couple of times. I'm not sure why Detroit residents are being hounded by this. And it does not give them any information that shows that these costs are already covered. So again, I know that we're here today for the rate hearing, but I think that it's important that we address this and give Detroit residents a lot more information, a lot more context, so that they know what they're actually signing up for and what they're actually covering, and that we protect our residents against things that could be potentially harmful and could also be an additional cost for residents who are not able to even afford their water bills. It looks like this cost is $7.98 per month or $95.76 per year. So I guess the nice thing is it does give you two types of ways that you can pay for something that should already be covered. Again, I would like for us to address this so that residents know exactly what they're paying for. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hemphill. We have with us General Counsel Pospich, and I'm going to ask her to respond to at least, the main questions that you asked.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To the caller, you expressed a lot of concerns and comments. I first of all want to assure you that this program by American Water Works is the preferred vendor for DWSD. And this is meant to be a great service to the residents of Detroit who have older water or sewer laterals, the private side, the part that is, it's your cost. And ordinarily, when you have a water line that collapses or falls off the main, that is a cost to you as the homeowner, and that could be very expensive to repair. This warranty program for the monthly fee is a policy that will come in and pay that cost for you with their plumbers. And all of they're using plumbers who are locally based plumbers. They're vetted, they're bonded and insured. So this is quality work that will happen. Now, you mentioned that the city has to replace the lines. We replace the water mains, the sewer mains. Those are what we're spending with our capital dollars, the mains in the street. This program that you received a letter about is about your private line, the part that's ordinarily your expense. The money that American Water Works is contributing toward a separate fund is for low-income people who are not able to even afford this monthly policy stipend. And we have set up a special fund for those folks who are low income and would like to buy this warranty but cannot afford it. Yes, that is monitored through Wayne Metro. This is also a benefit to DWSD, its residents, to all of our customers. So I think, and I say this kindly because the letter may have been confusing, I think you're conflating or combining the private side with the public side, the big water mains in the street. And I'd be happy to talk to you one-on-one offline, because you brought up so many issues that it could be an hour conversation, and I'm happy to take the time with you. And our Deputy Director and Chief Engineer wanted to add a few comments to yours, to the caller's comments. So I'll let her speak now. But if you leave your contact information, I'm happy to talk to you as long as you like, to assure you that this is not fear mongering. It's a very real issue in this city that private water and sewer lines are aging and collapsing. And this is meant to help you, not to scare you or cause you a burden. And so, Palencia, I'll let you take it over from here.
Thanks, Deb. You reiterated a couple points that I wanted to make. The main point is that the responsibility for a property owner is from where the water line enters their property until the property line for the water service line. And for your sewer service, it is typically from where it leaves your house in the basement to the point of connection to the public sewer. You referenced some funds, and I'm not quite sure what those funds are. There are service lines, water service lines that are being changed that are led as part of water main replacement. And that is very different than if someone has a copper service, for instance, and their copper service line starts leaking. This insurance would allow them to have their copper service line repaired and attended to by a licensed, bonded, and insured plumber. So I just wanted to give that distinction so that that was very clear, that there is a private responsibility that is every property owner's responsibility. And then there is what we are responsible for as the utility. And so on the sewer side, DWSD typically renews our sewers by lining them. But we do not have any responsibility for your connection from your property to the public sewer. And so if at any moment there's a blockage in your private lateral, or there is a collapse in your private sewer lateral, this is what this type of insurance is for. And so that information is communicated, and I believe there is a diagram that was included with the letter. So that's all I wanted to add. Thanks, Deb.
Thank you, Deputy Director, and thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes, and
Yeah, and I
Mr. Chair.
think we also need to make it clear that this is totally voluntary.
yes, I was
The
just
only
about to add
people
those
who-
points.
All right, well,
Yeah.
please go right ahead.
No, it was, no, go ahead. You're doing a fine
Only
job.
those who perceive that this is a risk, that they think that it's worth the cost of these premiums to have that risk covered, would buy that like any insurance. And as I pointed out, you know, the devil, insurance is a bargain with the devil. We pay for it, and then every night we say a prayer that we never have to use it. And that's the case here. But boy, when we do have to use it, we're mighty glad that we have it. But it's purely voluntary.
Thank you so much for those comments. And I would just add that it's also an intention of this department to offer this product as a service to our residents. And they can take advantage of it if they make that decision to do that, or they don't have to.
Question, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Just curious, does this service cover just a basic backup from my sewer line to my house?
It covers if your sewer lateral is blocked or collapsed and causing the basement backup. Yes, that warranty would cover.
So if I have a tree root or
Yes.
something jams in there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for the question. Is there any other public comment?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
And recess and come back.
Thank you. I will have this meeting recessed to the call of the chair.
All right, let's call to order the meeting of the Board of Water and Sewage Commissioners. And let's call the roll. Present?
Present.
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 All right. All right, I will recess this meeting to be unrecessed by the call of the chair.
Thank you. So we'll resume the Finance Committee meeting, and we are now moving to communications, of which there are none. Unfinished business, there is none. Item 8 is new business, and that's item 22-0811. Commissioners, what's your pleasure? Commissioner Kinlaw.
Madam Chair, I move that the Finance Committee recommends to the City of Detroit Board of Water Commissioners, the director, and authorize the director to amend the previously approved Detroit Water and Sewage Contract number 6002757 with Itron Inc. for the Water Safe Source Warranty Replacement Program, Open Way River AMI Implementation Agreement to change the contract amount to $18,240,000, change the communication platform from a DWSD-owned collector system to a third-party owned and operated cellular system, and to make related revisions to the previous agreement terms and conditions. This would also authorize the director to take such other action as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. We'll go ahead and finish this item, but I just wanted the commissioners to know we did have additional public comment, so we'll come back to that before we proceed with the rest of the items on the agenda. So with that in mind, I'm going to turn to General Counsel Pospich to provide detail.
All right, so the board may recall that in 2020, we approved an amended contract with Itron this is for the MIU units to do remote reading water meters. So we're switching from one type of technology to cellular service technology. And I do have people on the line who could talk more from the technical perspective. But switching to this new technology raised the price about $4 million over the course of the contract. And there were many revisions to the agreement regarding warranties and service levels and things like that. But in the end, that we've all decided that this really is in the best interest for DWSD and the customers to have accuracy of readings and have the latest technology. So if there's questions that are more technical in nature, I'm happy to have either Sam Smalley or Dominique speak to those.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner.
Okay, so previously, what was the mode of communication or method of communication or updating the data?
Okay, I'll tell you in layperson's terms. It would talk to these units that would be attached to various buildings and towers. A little device would take the reading and then relay it to us. So it was separate and apart from the regular cell towers that are all over the place. So now with using the cell tower service, there's more redundancy. We're not relying on the little, I call them widgets, that would be attached to the various towers.
It would just me thinking that using older technology would have been more costly, and that using cellular form of communication, which is what most sort of intermodal communication functions are utilizing, it seemed like the cellular should have been more cheaper, and because it's so readily available and widely used by all sorts of businesses for information collection and sharing.
Very, very good comments. I see our COO, Sam Smalley, is here, so I'll let him speak to that.
Thank you,
Hi, Sam.
You're on mute.
Good
Sam.
morning. Hi, good afternoon or good morning. It says I'm not.
Yeah,
Can you hear
we
me?
hear you. We hear you.
Okay. Sam Smalley, Chief Operating Officer. I'll touch on that prior point real quickly. The prior approval that came to the board in 2020 that was negotiated by one of my predecessors, Mr. Presnell, estimated an annual a savings over the remaining life of the Save Source system at approximately 16 million. So you are correct that this technology is significantly cheaper and more stable. This doing the cellular process will simplify the network. It will still provide savings, even though there have been some cost increase due to supply chain and inflation and other factors currently being experienced. But it's also expandable that will allow us to deploy smart sensors on our sewers and water mains so that we can have better indication and control of our water and sewer systems. It has a process. Now, I'll touch briefly on what we have today. As Ms. Bosby said, we have a plate on the outside of people's houses and businesses that sends information to over 100 essentially cell towers that we own and operate.
Sam, you have faded, so we
Yes,
can no longer hear you.
yeah, I think we lost Sam, so I will just fill in a little bit. And Dominique, if I get anything incorrect, just slide on in. So ultimately, switching over to a cellular technology that is more readily available across multiple networks provides us additional redundancy. The existing system is based on collector units that we owned and operated, that the technology is obsolete. There are no more parts and materials you can actually secure. And over the course of the 20-year contract that was initially negotiated, their cost savings was predicted to be $16 million from that original contract. Today, due to a variety of issues in the labor market and both supply chain issues, going to cellular for this particular change is the additional 4 million that you're seeing here. But over the course of the contract, it is a net savings. I'm going to round to about 10 to $12 million, somewhere in that range is what the net savings is over the initial 20-year contract that was signed, I believe in 2006 or 2007 is when DWSD went to this system. I will add that DWSD is one of the few large or small utility systems that has an automated meter reading interface and has had it for the amount of time that we had it with the level of sophistication that we have. And so it brings additional added value to us. And this is where Sam was fading out. We have deployed smart sensors throughout the system right now. We've tested and piloted quite a few technologies around flow metering in the sewers, as well as pressure sensors on the water mains. And that allows us to have better real-time information on operations of the water and sewer infrastructure, and also gives us indications for condition information we use in the CIP when we do our prioritization and condition assessment. So overall, it's a net savings to the department, but it provides redundancy, but it also gives us agility in terms of having vision into the operations of the water and sewer networks as well.
Yes, just, for the record, I know with new technology, there's always a part where a lot of people don't understand the cost associated with transferring over to that new technology. But as I'm listening to you, I don't, the $4 million is still a lot for some, and I understand you're talking about the savings over time. Yeah, it's just the $4 million, I still hear it and hear the recommendation, but it just seems like would like to flush out the justification for that additional cost with the new technology that should absolutely be cheaper. But, I understand we have to move forward with it.
Yeah, I think it might have been helpful because the prior analysis that we looked at in 2020 did really detail the savings that was roughly around 16 million. And we're missing that beginning point.
Okay,
So we're not seeing that, okay, yeah, this from the 2020 contract is $4 million over, but it's still a net savings over the,
Yeah.
as you just indicated, Commissioner, 10 or 12 million. It would just been nice to
see it.
have that
Yeah.
presented, right?
So we will make sure that the document that was prepared at that time is just redistributed to the board. I'm sure it's available on Legistar, and we will go pull from that meeting as well to show what the net savings is. Because this was a 20-year long-term contract, and as you all know, this was a negotiated agreement.
Yes, thank you for
Thank you.
adding that additional information. Are there any other questions? Seeing and hearing none, all in favor of approving this amendment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is approved.
This was a motion to refer it to the formal session for
That's
vote.
right.
Yes.
Thank you. So this will go to the board in our next session. And we'll move back now to public comment. So I know we did have some public comment. Those members of the public, please identify themselves.
Madam Chair, we have Cecilia McLean.
Thank you. Ms. McBling. Ms. McBling, if you are on mute, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I just briefly like to make a comment about the previous public comment in terms of that the contract with the American Water Resources. And I think one of the things she was trying to bring up was the fact that the infrastructure monies have been coming into the city of Detroit, and I think it's over $400 million. And that is going to be used to replace the lead water lines coming into the home. So a concern is whether or not, anyone needs to take up additional costs if these funds are going to be utilized to replace the lead water lines coming into the homes here in the city of Detroit. It's just an additional cost that the citizens do not have to take on. Now, additionally, I'm very much concerned about water affordability, and Detroit was in the forefront going all the way back to 2005 in terms of water affordability when we brought in Roger Colton and started a DARWAP, Detroit Residential Water Assistance Program. But since then, we have not moved forward with water affordability, which is totally different. It is where you have an income-based program, and it is designed to assist low-income persons, and Detroit has not done that. And we really do need to do that in view of the fact that the rates for the city of Detroit are some of the highest in the country. Right now, we're looking at, and I think Gary Brown mentioned in 2020 that the rates for Detroit in the past 2 decades have increased by 437%. That is not sustainable. Detroit should look at other means of maintaining the system without increasing the rates. And one of them may be to consider renegotiating the GLEWA contract, but also additionally, the 8317 sewer improvement contract that we had or was put in place under Judge Fiken, that Detroit is responsible for 83% of the sewer improvements. There are just other means that we need to look at in terms of maintaining the system besides just increasing these already astronomical rates. Detroit's is paying approximately 70% for their sewage, whereas throughout the rest of the state, it's like 30%. The University of Michigan study shows also that the state of Michigan in the past since 1980 to 2018, 100% increase. Detroit has increased by 285% in their rates. We cannot sustain this. We need a water affordability plan that will be affordable to all residents. Water is a human right. It should be affordable.
Madam Chair.
Thank you for your comments, Deputy.
Hello, Ms.
General Counsel.
McClellan. This is Deborah Pospich. We are going to have money for lead line replacement. However, there are over 80,000 lead service lines in the city of Detroit. It will take us about 30 years to replace all those lines. So, and as we're doing it as part of the CIP projects, we're doing about 1,500 lines a year. So in the interim, till we can get to every house and change out that private lead service line, it's going to be the customer's responsibility until we can get to that house. We are trying to build up a separate program that can do one-offs, and we do have a contract for that. But to go at the pace that needs to be done is logistically impossible because there aren't enough workers to do all 80,000 lines instantly. So it is, and it may be that the private side is not lead and the public side is, or vice versa. So the purpose of the warranty is to protect you so that you can have your line repaired or replaced right then and there when there is damage that occurs. And Plency, if you wanted to add anything else, go right ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to reiterate, one, not everyone's service line is lead. And so service lines that are not lead and or galvanized are not replaced. So if a person's service line is copper and something happens and it is damaged, this warranty would cover them. Homes generally built after 1950 in the city of Detroit or in that late 40s, early 50s period have copper service lines. We did a project a few years ago in which it was estimated we would come across 200 lead service lines. We had 0 lead service lines. All of those service lines happen to be copper. So for people who do not have a lead service line or other material that is not standard acceptable practice today, if you have a copper line and something happens, this would warranty you or insure you on those damages. The other comment I wanted to make was relative to 8317. 8317 does not apply to all sewer work. The 83%, 17% judgment applies specifically to wet weather projects to eliminate untreated combined sewer overflows. So that funding specifically pays for projects to eliminate untreated combined sewer overflows. It is not all sewer work. So when we are lining sewers in the neighborhoods, we are responsible for that cost as Detroit 100%. When we have to do projects to meet regulatory requirements associated with discharge of combined sewage into the Detroit or Rouge rivers, those wet weather control projects are 83% the responsibility of the city of Detroit by the federal ruling. So I just wanted to clarify, it does not apply to all sewer projects. It applies specifically to wet weather CSO control regulatory projects. Thank you.
Thanks everyone for the comments.
Madam Chair, our next speaker is D'Amico Williams.
Thank you. Mr. Williams?
Yes, hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes, hi. D'Amico Williams, Chief Director of Hydrate Detroit. Thank you for allowing me to speak. One of the concerns that I have is that the DWSB payment centers on the east side and west side, physical locations are still closed. I would like to know, when are they slated to reopen? I'm pretty sure that most of our workers, or if not all of them, are vaccinated, and we should be able to have a physical location for residents to come and pay their bill if they're unable to do it on the div that people would still like to come in person and see a representative to help them with their concerns of water bill payments and such. So I am advocating for those payment centers to be open immediately on the east side and the west side. My second concern, we got an email as of yesterday in regards to these new plans of the tier program. I just want to say that, you know, the water department and the Board of Water Commissioners of Detroit are still responsible for handling this situation. There are still residents that are dealing with high water bills from COVID-19. There are still residents that are dealing with unaffordability. And I agree with my partner, Cecily McKellen from We the People of Detroit, that we do need an affordable water solution. There has been a 2005 water affordability plan that is already passed by the city of Detroit. There's already been recommendations given by the Water Focus Group of Proposal P and also to the Board of Water Commissioners. Hydrate Detroit has been to the Board of Water Commissioner meetings with all of our recommendations, all of our solutions and policy ideas. And then to be told that we're gonna be in a room with Wayne Metro, who is still guilty of not handling residents in a timely manner or solving or zeroing out their financial concerns. I'm still gonna advocate for water amnesty. I'm still gonna advocate for water affordability to be given at a greater scale across the city of Detroit. Federal dollars are gonna trickle in, and we already know how that's going, but we need affordability. We need amnesty now, and I'm still gonna continue to push for that solution. So we still haven't gotten a call yet from Mr. Brown. I'm still waiting on that call from Mr. Brown and to meet with us on the record. And also in front of the Board of Water Commissioners, I still wait for that decision and the conversation, could water amnesty work in the city of Detroit? Shout out to Nancy Caffer. She already made the argument, and Detroit can do a water affordability program without legal entities or interruptions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. George Cotton.
Mr. Cotton?
Yes, good afternoon, Madam Chair, and to the commissioners on the board. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm on, and I think my wife Dolores is also on the line. And thank you for the opportunity to be heard, and also thank you to Mr. Jerry Springs for trying to work with us. In 2019, we purchased our home at 12094 East Outer Drive in Detroit. And at the time, I served as Senior Vice President for Advancement at the Charles H. Wright Museum. And I can tell you that many people urged us not to buy a home in the city. They told us that we would experience tons of red tape and that we would have numerous complaints about city services. And unfortunately, since that time, we have experienced a nightmare back and forth with the water company in regards to an unbelievable $4,800 water bill. And despite numerous attempts to try to get clarity as to how the bill could be that high, the most we can ever get from anyone is you must have a leak. And since we know that we didn't have a leak and we've never had a leak, quite frankly, we've become extremely frustrated. We've tried to explain that there are four billing months that are clearly outliers, but quite frankly, we can't get anyone to take time to try to explain our concerns. We subsequently found out that were told that the bills were electronically read rather than actually visibly read. And we've tried to explain that we think that that might be the problem, that someone needs to realize that the reading was wrong. But I guess our problem, Madam Chair, is we can't get anyone who's willing to sit with us, take a look at the bills. And I think once they do that, they'll not only be able to see that the bill is wrong, but also will agree to us that perhaps the electronic reading process that's being utilized, at least we're told being utilized by the City of Detroit Water Department, places the customer in a position where we have to explain why an improper reading is improper, while that should be the responsibility of the city. So we're requesting someone from Mr. Brown's office to make time to meet with us to discuss the bill so we can show them that the reading has to be wrong and that somewhere in the entire process, there might need to be some sort of revisiting as to how the water meters are read in the city of Detroit, because we think it places the customer in a very unfair position. So we're requesting, Madam Chair and Director Brown, an audience with someone or direction to someone who can help us with this issue.
Thank you for your comment, Director Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If we can get, I think you said Mr. Cotton's contact information offline, we'll make that appointment for him before this meeting's over with. So he can come in tomorrow and sit down with staff and we'll walk him through his billing issue.
And Mr. Cotton, we will put a link in the chat feature of the Zoom that will give you a way to privately provide us with your name, address, and phone number so that we can follow up with you.
Thank you both. Thank you, Mr. Cotton. Is there any other public comment?
No, Madam Chair, not for this meeting.
Thank you. Are there other matters to come before this committee?
I know it's obvious from here, but just for the record, I'm here.
Oh, thank you. Commissioner Kinlock, here, present and participating. Okay, if there are no other business to come before this committee, we'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Support.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
All right, I'd like to call back to order the meeting of the Board of Commissioners for May the 18th, 2022. We had originally scheduled a public hearing regarding the rates. We have gotten a request that we adjourn the public hearing with regard to rates because staff wants a little bit more time to move forward on that. So I am going to adjourn that public hearing. Those of you who have signed up for the public hearing for public comment, we will call on you during the course of business for our regular meeting. And so without objection, we will move to, we had the roll call. Let's move to the approval of the agenda. Commissioner Blackman.
We didn't receive any amendments, did we? I move approval of the agenda.
Any corrections or additions to the agenda as proposed? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, the public hearing has been adjourned. Now we have the approval of the minutes of April the 20th, 2022. Commissioners?
Move approval of the meeting minutes with any necessary corrections.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Kinlock and supported, I believe, by Commissioner Forte. Any corrections or additions to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the minutes, please say aye.
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 Those
Just want to
opposed?
make a modest correction. I think that was Commissioner Garcia that
Oh.
supported.
I am corrected. It was seconded by Commissioner Garcia. And you know what? I have my hearing aids in today. So, all right, so that is approved. Now we move to public comments with regard to our regular meeting. And I'll start with those who've signed up, whether it was for this public hearing or for the rather for this meeting or rather the public hearing. And we'll start with Jermaine Paynes.
Good afternoon, board members. Good afternoon, Gary Brown, Director of Water and Sewage Department. It has been brought to my attention that I went to a meeting last week in City Council to talk about my situation and explore it more in depth. And I got a call from James Tate's office today regarding my water line. Unfortunately, the land bank is trying to cover up something they did wrong, and they told James Tate several lies pertaining to my water line. I'm actually getting tired. I'm actually getting frustrated with this issue. I've been fighting with them for 2 years. I talked to Tammy Daniels last week and stepped out and had a conversation with her, and she lied to me to my face. So I'm doing all I can. I know Gary Brown talked to me on several times and occasions with the commissioners here to let them know that I am on the list. All I'm asking for is a water line. I'm not asking for nothing more but to have running water to my house. I'm not asking to get a bill, $1,000 water bill that I don't even have a water line. It's like humiliating me. I don't even have a water line in my ground, and I'm already getting $1,000 water bill for usage of water that I don't have. So it's like humiliating me. I'm coming to all these departments, executive branches of the city of Detroit, and to get this and open an envelope with a bill that's $1,000 or more for something that I'm not even responsible for yet, it's sickening. Gary Brown, I asked you to put pressure on Land Bank, and not for them to make any excuses to take responsibility, but hold Tammy Daniels, executive director of the Land Bank, accountable for her actions, because there's thousands of people like me and myself who were sold bogus houses with no water lines, and no one is taking responsibility. I heard her say last week she don't even know who cut the water lines to these houses. So I think it's not fair to the people who are buying Land Bank houses and told that they're going to be responsible for a $15,000 repair to a house that doesn't have a water line. I don't want to have to go to James Tate. I don't want to have to go with the mayor's office to get a water line. I'm asking Gary Brown and the commissioners to approve what you guys already approved and start working on these issues with these people who don't have running water to their house. It's a human right. It's a civil right. Water is a civil right, a human right to have water. I don't have the $15,000 to replace a water line. The Land Bank should be held accountable for that bill. Thank you.
Mr. Director, one second.
Commissioner Kinlaw.
But yes, okay. Okay, I don't know, precedence authority that the commission has. But one thing I want is some resolution with this. I mean, we're not here day to day dealing, in the operations. What I'm asking is for staff to look at this, come back with a recommendation of how best we can assist in this instance, this one outlier, to resolve this situation. We have also received information that there's going to be a program where money's going to be brought available to address some of the concerns as relates to the Land Bank. How can this specific issue that we have continued to have at our table brought back to us, this issue here that is one that is really ringing in my head, if there's a solution within the framework of the response that the Land Bank and the department has sort of worked out, if there can be some sort of carve out to address and just get water service to this house. I'm just asking.
Yeah, and this morning I was at 4 different homes that we were installing lead service lines. And there are houses that people live in that have kids. And I can send you to 4 houses tomorrow where this contract is, we're replacing lead service lines. There's no one living in Mr. Payne's house.
You said no one's living in the gentleman's house?
Nobody's living in the house. It doesn't have water, so nobody's living there.
Okay.
He is on the list, but we have.
So it is,
okay. We have families with kids and they're prioritized. Now, he overestimates my authority over the Land Bank. I don't have control. I've done all that I can do with the Land Bank. I've assured him that he's on the list, but there's no one living in that house right now. And I have women with kids that we're replacing their lines. I was at 4 of those homes today.
I'm saying, because I didn't know he was on the list. I mean, you heard the testimony.
He knows he's on.
Well, I wasn't aware of that.
He knows he's on the list.
There's the resolution.
But yet he continues to go see James Tate and others, and it's going to come right back to the circle is going to come right back here. I am working as hard as I can to get contractors to replace these lines.
Thank you for getting him on the list. I wasn't aware of that. So there is a resolution to this instance. It's just timing. Okay.
He is definitely on the list.
I do
Mr.
have,
Payne, you
I
are
do-
out of order.
yeah.
Please sit down.
I do have a question. Mr. Payne has said that he is receiving a bill. And I'm just curious about how that bill has arisen.
Yeah, it's the first that the bill has been addressed. We will take a look at if that bill, I don't want to guess at what's happening with his case. I can tell you what happens in a lot of other cases. When the land bank takes control of a house, DWSD wipes the bill out. If other people are in the house and using water, it starts a new bill. And I'm not sure what has happened with that particular house between the time that he purchased it and today, but we will adjust the bill if necessary. It's pretty obvious if he's not living there now, he should only be getting a service charge for a meter. And I'm not sure that the house even has a meter. So
Maybe also drainage charges that have.
drainage charges could be accruing on the home over the last year or so.
Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you. I think that one of the issues is that obviously, I don't know what the drainage would be for a house for $1,000, but he's been in the house trying to repair it. He cannot live in it without water. You got to have water. But he's been dealing it for quite a while. I think the idea that he got a bill for $1,000 is when there's no water. I don't care about the drainage. I'm talking about no water for $1,000. We need to look at it, Mr. Brown, and make sure that we correct this, because you can't wait 3 or 4 years after you own a house and you get a bill from past due. So it's just not well.
Certainly,
It's not
We'll
being
take a
done
look
well.
at it
Okay.
and we'll make the correction if necessary. A house without consumption could be charged $39 a month
Yeah.
for.
So I just want to make sure that we take care of this, because the issue is very clearly, he's taken time off of work to come every time just to bring his concerns. He just wants to move back into a house that him and his mother got. So I think it's very important. She's a senior and they're living with somebody else until this thing is resolved. And I just think that we need to help them resolve it, that's all. So I did it on good faith. I mean, it isn't like he hasn't come every month. I think it's very important that we do something. Okay, I appreciate it.
We will.
Gracias.
So let me just say this, and we have reeled them over the coals. And I did not know that he was on the list that was put, just recently came about where we found the solution. So I think that's incredible. And so I absolutely commend the department on that. And you've explained that you're trying to get these things done as quickly as possible. He's also explained there's family, kids, and there's a prioritizing of how we're trying to address this catastrophe that's been caused by the land bank. But absolutely, I did not know, and I'm glad that you all are addressing that, and just, I guess, keep them informed.
All right, thank you. I'd like to call Marty Jones.
Mr. Chairman, what does he do, Mr. Brown? May I ask, what does he do about the $1,000 bill? Does he talk to somebody?
Yes,
Can we-
we're-
okay,
we're
can we
gonna
refer
have
him
someone
to
address it
somebody?
before he leaves.
Thank you.
Mr. Jones? Mrs. Jones, I'm reading, I said Marty, is it Marilyn? Well, your handwriting is better than mine, which means I should be able to read it. Thank you, Ms. Jones.
If I'm not mistaken, I printed it. Okay, so my name is Marilyn Jones, and I'm here to voice my concern for my water bill. I'm hardly ever home. My husband passed September, thank you. My husband passed September 14th. We've been married for 41 years. And I'm hardly ever home. There's nobody there but me, and I have a little bitty chihuahua, and he only drinks a teeny bit of water. I don't drink water, I drink bottled water only. And I think that this bill that I have is based on, like the papers say, an average amount of people in a household. And according to this bill, they're saying that I use 2,992 gallons of water average. I think that is so unfair to me. I am not working. Oh, boy. It says on here, and this average is machine washing, 45 gallons per load. My machine has been broke for 3 months. It says that I use, as I just stated, 2,900, almost 3,000 gallons of water. This is not right. And they're basing this figure on the amount of gallons of water that a person used. And I look on the end and it says that I use exactly the same amount last year. That don't even make sense. I mean, not a penny more or a penny less. This is unfair to me. I cannot afford this. I am a senior. I'm almost 70 years old this year. And I'm asking if you all could help me in some way to lower this bill, $383.98. If you all could help me to lower this. I'm still under a lot of pressure and stress from my husband passing. I know that in half the year, last year, I was down at the hospital every single day to be with my husband. When they told me to put him in a nursing home, I refused because of the way that these patients are being treated in nursing homes. I work in 2 hospitals. I know what goes on. Y'all will be surprised. I teach and try to tell everybody to stay out of these hospitals. Don't go, because you can say one thing wrong and that's it. That's it. They will take care of you in the way to most of them. I'm not saying everybody, but stay out of the hospitals, take care of yourself. The toilet, it says 25 gallons per day. That is absolutely ridiculous. Maybe for a family of 8 or 6 or something like that. It's just me. Dishwasher, 15 gallons per load. I don't even have a dishwasher. I don't even like dishwashers. That's why I sold mine when I moved many years ago. I've been in Detroit all of my life, 69 years 68 years. I love Detroit. I absolutely love my city. But these balances that they have for me, it's just really not right. And I do pay my bills. Although I must admit, I am a couple of months late because of my husband. I've been bombarded totally. But if you look at my record, you'll see that I do pay my bills. What
Chair.
else? I guess that's basically it. No dishwasher, no wash machine for 3 months. Haven't been washing, been going to the laundromat. Brushing teeth, 3 gallons a day.
Ms. Jones?
No. Yes.
Your time is up, but I'd
Okay.
like to ask Director Brown to.
Yeah, if you could just have a seat, somebody
Sure.
from my staff is gonna come and get you, but
Thank you.
can I just say that if your bill for 1 month is $300 and some odd dollars, that's way out of line. We're gonna see what's going on with that. But what you described, 2,000 gallons for a month?
No, it says 2,992 gallons.
Okay, 3,000 gallons.
Yeah, 3,000.
For
not two.
3,000 gallons for a month
A month.
is pretty average for a 1-person household. So a normal person uses about 68 gallons a day to cook, to wash, to do certain activities.
Don't have a
But your
wash-
bill is way out of line for a 2,000 or 3,000 gallon a month bill. So we'll have somebody take a look at that. And we're also going to see if we can find you some assistance through Wayne Metro. We're gonna work with you on that. And
Thank
again,
you.
I'm sorry for your loss. We'll try
Thank
to
you.
work with you to
I
help you.
appreciate that so much. And the most important thing I forgot is my water line. I hope I'm not paying my next door neighbor's water, because sometimes that happened to me before, many years ago. So I was paying this guy's, it was his phone bill for years and didn't even realize it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones and Commissioner Blackman.
I have a question, Mr. Brown, Mr.
Mhm.
Director. So the information that was read about how much you use for this and how much you use for that, isn't that standard information that goes on the
Yeah,
bill to give a customer an idea that if you have these things,
Yeah.
this is what generally it would cost? So I think that needs to be clarified a little bit.
That you have clarified it, that we try to give our customers an estimate of their utility usage and what it costs. It's not an exact figure. And also, we also try to compare what they use this month to last month. And even with a 1-person household, 3,000 gallons would not cost $300 a month I don't know what her drainage charge is, but we're gonna get to the bottom of it before she leaves today. My staff I've just texted them, they're gonna come out and see her, and then also see if we can't get some help from Wayne Metro to relieve that bill.
Thank you.
All right, Pastor Gina News, is it, Pastor? And I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Good afternoon, Pastor. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm blessed. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm actually standing here, but my pastor is here. She's going to speak. But my question was, because our church flooded out when they had the flood in Detroit, and someone said that they was not going to attend to the business, just the homes. But our church is still in ruins because of it.
Mr. Chair, did the church apply for FEMA for any relief, any funding?
Yes, sir.
And were you denied, or did you get some funding?
We were denied.
Okay. So we'll also get your information and see if there's any additional assistance that we can provide for you. There was an appeal process, and the city is helping, I know, residential customers with appealing those denials, and in many cases, they're overturned and dollars can be provided from FEMA. So we'll see what's available. If you just have a seat, one of my
Thank you
staff
so
members will
much.
get you information. Can you tell us where the church is? Did you write the address on the card?
Yes, Raymond
Okay.
Church is
All
on
right.
there.
4719 Cadger.
Yes. Mhm. Thank you.
And Pastor Mabel Allen, I believe you're from the same congregation, Pastor? You're welcome to come forward if you would like.
Good afternoon, and certainly I thank you for the opportunity to speak. Our church received or had substantial damage due to the pump failure that occurred on June 26, 2021. We mailed in a claim in July of 2021. So we'd like to inquire as to who would we communicate with regarding following up that claim, as well as no one has ever communicated with us or replied back to us, though we mailed in the forms that were due. We followed all the protocols, but we've not heard anything. So we wanted to find out the status. So
One second, we're gonna.
Here we go.
we-
Okay.
Pardon
So
me?
the status of all claims is on hold until the investigations are complete. And we are all awaiting reports that will be provided to the Great Lakes Water Authority Board of all the engineering studies and investigations to see if there is any legal liability on the part of GLEWA or DWSD for flooding at your property and all the other properties that have made a claim. So there's nothing to report right now because we're waiting for those studies, which I think we're now expecting to hear in mid-June, the status of those investigative studies.
It's June 9th. We've been
Okay.
told that the report will be delivered on June 9th.
Thank you so much. And as I shared, we did have substantial damage, and our church is lying in ruins. Our entire basement was flooded. We had to have it gutted and all of those things. We did apply to FEMA for the funding. Initially, we were told that after applying to them, we had to apply to SBA for funding, which we followed that protocol. SBA denied us. We circled back to FEMA. At that point, we were told that FEMA was not helping anyone other than residential structures, that they were not going to allow any monies for commercial or businesses at all.
All right. Thank you very much, Pastor. Commissioner Blackman?
Thank you.
Mr. Brown, what is the process for us communicating with customers who may not know where they are. If they filed a claim with us, do we not have some means of getting back to them and letting them know, at least from our perspective, what their status is?
Yeah, I don't know, Deb, did the contract go in front of the board or is it?
No. So there's no note, we've put on our website, we have given news reports, we've reported to city council, I've reported to this board. There's no communication to anyone yet until we get the investigative reports. So we received
I guess I was asking-
30,000 claims came in. So we're not writing to each
Of
person to
course.
tell them
No.
this. It's just been
I'm asking, is there a means of communicating broadly, not to each customer, but is there a way for us to
we
let?
did that.
Okay, we've done
Yes,
that.
yes.
Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to address the Board of Commissioners today? Anyone online? Hearing none, then we will close public participation and we will move on to communications. Item 220808 are regular communications regarding damage claims. And we have.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's one more public comment, D'Amico Williams.
Oh, okay. Mr. Williams?
Yes, hi, D'Amico Williams, Chief Director of Hydrate Detroit, talking about the proposed water rates. My general point I wanted to know, is the study done yet? Is the rate study done? If the rate study has been done, can we have time as the residents to please have a special presentation to be brought to the public? When is DWSD going to do community meetings, in-person community meetings? I know this has been talked about and the board members are excited to meet with the community. We do miss you. I believe that the public rate hearing, if it's on hold, this should be brought to the public. Chairman Eisenhower, Vice Chairwoman Blackman, please make the accommodations for a public hearing to be held actually in person. If it be in a community center, recreation center, or even so much as a neutral location other than a church or 735 Randolph, that would be great. My general comment is about the public rate structure. It is still too high. We are in COVID-19. We are dealing with inflation. We can't pay for our gas. You see gas at almost $5 a gallon. And also the grocery store. You know, we don't have the money to pay. It's not that I'm saying that mostly for City of Detroit residents, we are trapped in affordability hell. We don't have, even though we have assistance, we don't have the breaks of jobs, opportunity, prosperity that's supposed to come through the city. We need to hold on these rate structures, on the proposed rate structures, until we're able to get a balance at the Water and Sewage Department. The lady that just complained about her water bill, the senior, that is a clear reflection of what these new tier rates are going to bring. The problems that DWSD doesn't even know how much the amount of gallons Detroiters use in their water. And they're also contesting the AMR smart meters. This all goes into that. It has to be thought about in greater detail. Also, I just wanted to say to Mr. Payne, I'm very sorry for what you're going through. My heart breaks for you, sir. And that is not a resolution. You need to fix his water line and you need to clear out his water bill debt. This is unacceptable. The Board of Water Commissioners really need to look into this issue about the land bank, and DWSD needs to take back responsibility. Stop deflecting responsibility, just like the AWR water line service. That still gives inaccurate information. DWSD, you're still responsible for that, and you should be doing your jobs. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. And I agree with you that we should be resuming our community meetings as soon as we get clearance from the appropriate public health people. I happened to be at the Northwest Activity Center last week asking about renting a room. And they said, we don't rent rooms. because of the pandemic. But we are going to take a look at that. And if we can be, we're gradually coming back together. We've